Good morning, everyone. We're going to get started. So grab your coffee, grab a muffin, and have a seat.
Okay. Hi, and welcome to our presentation on the RCC SSCY Family Advisory Council entitled Building Support. In this presentation, we will explain what the Family Advisory Council is, what we do, and what has led to its success. You will also learn about the current ways we provide support to families through the Family Network and how you can find out more information and get involved. So we will start by introducing ourselves. My name is Tessa Plett, and I'm a social worker at the Rehabilitation Center for Children. I love my job and feel very privileged to work with the children and families I meet with each day. I've been on the Family Advisory Council in my role as staff liaison for about 4 years now. I'm also the mom of 2 kids who remind me that parenting is actually the hardest and most rewarding job that I'll ever have. And this is Carrie. She's the current chair of the Family Advisory Council. She joined the council in 2017.
I do many things, mostly to do with puppets and stories, but I'm here today because I'm the mother of 3 amazing girls. My middle daughter loves hugs and music. She has a profound intellectual disability. My family spends a lot of time in this building.
All right, so the title of our presentation, Building Support, is a bit of a play on words, as the Family Advisory Council has been a work in progress over many years now, and that also touches on the importance of the SSCY building itself. The RCC SSCY Family Advisory Council is a formal group that was established back in 1997 and consists of family members, community members, and healthcare professionals. The advisors meet every other month to provide input and feedback on the various strategic goals and initiatives taking place at RCC. Before we get too far along, I will just explain that RCC stands for the Rehabilitation Center for Children, and SSCY stands for Specialized Services for Children and Youth. RCC is part of SSCY, along with many other partners who reside in this building and throughout the city. FAC stands for Family Advisory Council. So as I was saying, the FAC was established over 20 years ago now, and much of their original focus was the design of this building, SSCY Center. The original council worked hard to ensure that this building reflected the needs and interests of the families who use it.
The story behind that, when I first arrived at the Parent Advisory Council, Donna told us stories. She was the chair back then. She tells the story of the Family Council as a grassroots collaborator for the purpose, design, and dream of SSCY. Before this place, there were 3 major concerns for families. The first was parents needed appointments and services to be delivered with a less physical challenge for them. Prior to SSCY, services were housed in structures that had been built for other purposes. Most of the buildings had no capital budgets to completely renovate spaces. And so they had structural features that did not allow for full accessibility or full accommodation of needs. So SSCY needed to be accessible at every level with well-planned parking and child-friendly spaces. The second concern was that parents needed appointments and service delivery to be more coordinated, more one-stop service. Appointments took up many, many days for parents and children's lives. Parents packed up their children, made their way to different places all over the city for each appointment. So one appointment consumed days, meaning that children missed school, parents missed work, and the routines of young children were regularly disrupted. So SSCY needed to house multiple services from various agencies in one place. And the final concern for parents is they needed appointments and service delivery to reflect the successes in their child's life, a facility separate and unlike the hospital and illness model. So parents were extremely grateful for all of that life-saving services of a hospital. They were also grateful for all the diagnostic information that gave them answers and understanding, but their children weren't always sick and their lives were not in crisis. So they need service delivery free from those emotions and memories of those past experiences. They needed services for their children so that their children thrive in the community, so as to support and celebrate life in a space that does the same. And now we have this beautiful building where we stand today, which addresses all of these concerns and more. Dawn is clear that all the credit should go elsewhere, to the executive committee, the staff, therapists, clinicians, employee committees who met, collaborated, dreamed, and did all the real work to create SSCY. And also the capital campaign, the public service officials who kept this SSCY funding on the table, designers, and all the skilled trades who worked on this building. She says, on Family Council, we were privileged to have our voices heard. to be actively consulted, kept up to date, and act as a sounding board throughout all the years of long process.
Okay, so with the building project finally complete in 2016, the Family Advisory Council needed new directives.
I remember going to my first meeting, Donna walked in and said, "Great, we've done our bit. Now you new people need to figure it all out."
So in order to do that, we wanted to hear from families. In early 2017, we distributed a survey to families asking them to identify their needs and priorities, and then hosted a family forum here at SCY, at which time there was unanimous agreement to proceed with the creation of the RCC SSCY Family Network in order to create a platform to do this work. So the Family Advisory Council provides overall leadership and direction for the Family Network.
There were words, phrases, and requests that kept coming up. Presentations and workshops, so education for parents and families. Social media, family networking, parent mentoring, and transition to adult care. So the new direction of our Parent Advisory Council was set.
At the end of November, we submitted a proposal to the RCC Board of Directors, who then committed funds for the Family Network to address these unmet family needs. The money was to be used for hosting workshops and events at SSCY Center, establishing parent mentoring and support, creating a monthly newsletter, and also to hire a family engagement facilitator. So this person would be in charge of the monthly newsletter, hiring staff for Family Network events, handling registration, advertising events, and attending events. This person was hired in May of the following year. That's Maya's first time. So to pick our first event, we went with, because presentations and workshops was the #1 interest of families, we decided to begin there. The Family Network has made it a priority to host events throughout the year. And we're going to review just a couple of those for now. The first event hosted by the newly established Family Network was our Transition to Adulthood Night, which was held on a Saturday evening in February. Parents were able to hear from a panel of other parents whose youth had already transitioned from pediatric to adult services, while teens cooked dinner with staff. Afterwards, the youth and their parents enjoyed a meal together and then had time to visit afterward.
Lois, a parent from our Family Advisory Council, told us the story of that night. The turnout was amazing, full room. It was a meeting where everyone could ask their questions, give experiences and opinions. So much networking happened that evening. There was so much information from people who had been through to benefit people who were coming up to this pivotal transition into adult services. Lois says, "We realized as the night went on that in order to get what you need to know what is available. Because some people get things and others don't because they haven't been informed that you can." And her last comment was, "We should do it again."
After hosting an event for teens, we then wanted an event targeted for younger kids. We decided on a preschool literacy event, which featured an interactive puppet show and a presentation by Bookmates.
Sarah, another parent on our Family Advisory Council, tells the story of that event. The literacy event hosted in the Robertson childcare spaces, which was lovely, here at the SSCY Center, was an excellent opportunity to gather a group of families, including preschoolers. I attended with my then 3-year-old daughter, Amelia. It was wonderful to see children engaging in storytelling in a way that made most sense to them, to be in a group in a space where all approaches were valued and valid. This is a rare and cherished opportunity for parents of a child with special needs. She says, Sarah says, "Amelia and I have been very lucky with all of our typical play groups and classes. We participated in having other parents and families been very patient and accepting. However, it can still be difficult when you and everybody else in the room recognizes there is only one child in the group who is engaging in a different way." With this Family Network event, and in general, all of our events, we are striving to create a space where parents, caregivers, and whole families can come together and be themselves. In the case of the literacy event, that involved enjoying the unfolding of a story in whatever way is most comfortable and fun for them. Back to me now, Carrie. The feedback from those who participated was very positive. And although registration was not bad, actual attendance numbers were pretty low, partly due to the weather. You can't do much here, gotta do about that.
Next, we hosted a Recreation Opportunities Expo to allow families to learn about recreation and sport opportunities for children and youth with special needs. It was held here at SCY on a Sunday afternoon. This was a huge event featuring over 20 Manitoban agencies, and we had more than 200 people in attendance.
This building was busy with adaptive bowling, wheelchairs for various sports for children to try, and so many options. Mostly, I think the facts speak for themselves. 200 people, 20 different agencies. That and people keep coming to all of us at the Family Advisory Council and the staff and saying, hey, when are we going to do it again?
Another unique event we put on was the Caring for Caregivers Brunch, which was co-hosted with the FASD Family Network this past June. We had over 40 caregivers signed up for this event.
This event treated caregivers to a catered brunch and then invited them to explore self-care stations at their own pace. Some of the activities offered were yoga, massage, art. I had two parents at parent, and they loved that. They were like, when's it going to happen again? There's a lot of that.
Yeah. So based on that initial survey we sent out, information was also a key theme identified by families. Parents keep telling us they want it to be easier to find information. So actually, RCC has been on social media since 2017. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And in 2018, we launched the RCC SSCY Family Network newsletter, which is for both families and professionals. The newsletter keeps people up to date about activities, special events, and opportunities to get involved at SSCY Centre. Another added bonus of the newsletter is that it does promote collaboration with staff, as it lets partner agencies here at SSCY know what's happening around the centre. So whether you are a parent or staff, please be sure and sign up for the newsletter so that you can stay informed. You can go to the RCC or SSCY website and just click on the button that says sign up for our newsletter, which is on the homepage. Family support was another priority of families and has been a major focus of the Family Network so far. We really wanted to develop better ways of supporting the whole family, including parents and siblings. One way we've done this is through the sibling events. Let's Talk Sibs was one event and included 5 different events, and it was funded by the Family Network, Child Bright Network, and the Children's Hospital Research Institute of Manitoba. Our first event was on November 25th, 2018, and then we ran 5 additional sib shops in the winter and again this fall.
Sibling work is a passion of mine. Remember my 3 daughters? As a parent of a child with additional needs, I often feel a keen sense of guilt about my other 2 children, paradoxically both for involving them and for not involving them in the work I do with their sister. I'm keenly aware that in all likelihood, my 2 typically developing children will be in my middle daughter's life much longer than myself or my husband. In therapy work today, there's such a great focus on family-centered care, but the siblings are often left in the waiting room, both figuratively and literally.
So Sib Shops is an international program that provides siblings with peer support and information in a lively recreational setting. They were facilitated by Julie Walsh in Greece. Julie Walsh is a registered social worker and family therapist who has been facilitating Sib Shops and presenting about siblings' experiences since 2011. Grace is a student at the University of Manitoba. She also has 2 younger brothers who are autistic, and she has been a peer mentor and facilitator with the Sib Shops program since 2012.
My journey with sibling workshops began when my oldest daughter, Emma, was 6 years old. She went on a one-day camp in Niagara. That's where we lived at the time. That one day changed forever the way Emma looked at her sister with special needs. Much to my dismay, they never did that workshop again. When we moved to Manitoba, we began searching for a sibling program as Emma was in those preteen years where the issues around embarrassment and friends were really coming up. The workshops did exist here in a smaller capacity at the Anula Centre and for a cost. My goal was to make it widely accessible and free. We did achieve that with Let's Talk Sibs. And the workshops are pretty great. My daughter loves to go. And she should have a place where she can go, where it's okay to say, it really sucks. It's okay to say it's hard to have a sister who is different. And it's okay to celebrate your silly sister for some small triumph. But above all, these siblings should know that they're not alone in this journey. There are others like them. Oh, and Sib Shops wasn't a one-time event. It did continue for 4 more in the winter of 2019 and just started up again for this fall, this past weekend. At present, it is completely full with a wait list, but we are really looking to try and find additional support and funding to accommodate all those who are waiting.
The parent portion of the workshop was created by Julie Walsh and facilitated by a parent and an adult sibling who is currently taking over care for her sibling with additional needs. The workshop began with the reading from Spelling 255, a play by Jennifer Overton about a sibling moving from resentment to acceptance of his brother with autism.
We then continued and worked in small groups to discuss what we thought was important for our families through the lenses of siblings. What things are working and what things do we wish we could do better, or do we wish we had support to do better? We then shared information from Julie Walsh's presentation about siblings on the 4 common reactions of SIBs. There's the caregiver SIB. This role can be at the request of the parents, but is often something the sibling takes on their own. The second is the super sib. They tend to be overachievers to make up for their siblings. There's the resentful caregiver. They tend to resent their sibling or the attention they receive. And there is the glass child. And this isn't because the child is fragile. It's because parents sometimes see through their typical developing children to the child who needs more attention. And most SIBs are a mix of all of these and are different ones on different days. But it's a good way to sort of look and understand what might be happening behind in the sibling's mind. We also highlighted what worries and fears siblings tend to have at different ages. For example, at the preschool age, they tend to worry, are they going to catch it? Can they get whatever their sibling has? As they get older, as they get into teens, they're worried, am I allowed to marry? My sibling might not be able to marry. Am I allowed to marry? Is that going to be a problem? So they really have a whole range of worries. And so we went a little bit into that just so that people can talk about it. And the other thing was the importance of being open to questions and asking for that and saying, hey, do you have any questions? Do you want to know anything? An important example of that is my daughter. She has a seizure disorder, and we were going to try and take her off the seizure medicines because she'd been 3 years seizure free. And we were very open in our family about that. And we said, does anyone have any questions? And my oldest daughter said, is Ali going to die? Because she thought that meant, and we're like, no, we're just doing a test. And if she has a seizure, we will put her back on medication and we'll be back to where we are now. And if she doesn't have a seizure, then we just don't have to give her medicine in the morning and the night. So we can't imagine what they're thinking. And so you're constantly having to sort of draw that out.
So while the parents were in their workshop and the siblings ages 8 to 12 were in theirs, the children with disabilities and any younger siblings were treated to an afternoon of yoga, music therapy, games, and snacks. We are so grateful to have the funding and staff expertise to care for these children with very low ratios, sometimes even one-on-one, depending on the needs of each child.
All 3 of my daughters love coming to this building, and that is important for our family. It is actually to the point where my typical developing 5-year-old gets really upset when Ale, my middle child, gets to come to SCY and she doesn't.
Around the same time, Let's Talk SIBS also put on 2 presentations for professionals. A Breakfast at SCY presentation was held on December 11th last year with 29 people attending in person and 40 via the webinar. And then they presented at Pediatric Round Rounds on January 3rd with 30 healthcare professionals in attendance.
So if you want to know more about those things I touched on in the parent presentation, if you go to that Breakfast at SCY, you can actually see Julie's slides on that. In all, the Let's Talk SIBS touched over 125 people across all aspects of the life of a child with differences: therapists, healthcare professionals, educators, parents, and of course, the siblings. Our Parent-to-Parent Cafe is another really exciting initiative of the Family Network. It is an informal support group of parents that meets monthly. Our group is facilitated by parent volunteers who are members of the Family Advisory Council. Recreation is also provided for children to make it easier for parents to attend. This addresses a huge need, as there are very few support groups in existence in Winnipeg for parents of children with special needs. We started the Parent-to-Parent Cafe in January for a total of 5 sessions. And then we took a break for summer and just restarted this month and have over 30 people signed up again. Now when I meet with families in clinic, I'm just so happy to be able to direct them to a group where they can meet with families who are on a similar journey and other parents who understand what it is like to parent a child with differences. We had 30 people sign up and 27 in attendance this past weekend, which in our population is incredible. 3 parents from the Parent Advisory Council, myself, Sarah sitting over there, hi Sarah, and Liz have been have either led or supported various sessions throughout this. The first session was set up in a workshop to generate topics for discussion to find out what the group is interested in. Some sessions have been more sort of workshop discussion based as parents share experiences with each other, while others have had more official presentation by an expert on a topic requested by the group. For example, we had a financial advisor come in and talk on the specifics of RDSP, which is Registered Disability Savings Plans, which are very complicated, but really a great program. Parents have brought up issues of the constant need to focus on your child's worst day in services. So we brought in a presentation on positive one-page profiles to be able to counteract that. And it's one you can find online and just sort of fill it in and put a picture, and it's really easy and really great. And it's a great way to introduce your child to people who they're going to interact with, a substitute EA, an educational assistant, anybody really, a new therapist. You can just give them the sheet and it sort of gives a positive, what are the good things, what are the challenges, what do they like to do? It's really great. There's also an amazing leisure program here. If you don't know about the LIFE program, which is Leisure and Fun Environments, you should. It's wonderful. And so we had another presentation around their events, what they offer, the summer camps, things like that. They have a whole host of events for children with special needs and their families. And all of the parent sessions have some time built in so parents can connect and chat informally. As Liz, another parent from our Parent Advisory Council, says, the aspect that is most exciting for me is that members of the cafe have started to make connections with each other, and these relationships can be taken outside the walls of SCY. Parenting a child with special needs can be very isolating, so to be able to find your group is invaluable.
So as you have heard, the Family Advisory Council has accomplished a lot since it was created. It has evolved from primarily planning and designing this building to developing a growing network to support families. Under the direction and leadership of the Family Advisory Council, the recently established Family Network now works to support families by hosting events, facilitating parent and sibling support groups, and better distributing information via our newsletter and social media. In fact, the Family Network has been able to address all 5 of the top priorities identified by families in its first 2 years of operation.
So why is this council so successful? For me, the big part, staff support. Thank you. This gives parents the ability to use their skills and time on events rather than having to be administrators. This is both Tessa's time and Maya's time, and that's Maya's our family engagement coordinator who does all the registration and hires staff to be childminders and things at the events.
Just as important or more important, invested parents. In the last 2 years, we've had 7 new parents join our council. We have a very dedicated group of parents who bring their knowledge and expertise and volunteer their time to attend meetings and events.
Another important one is buy-in from leadership. Cheryl, the executive director here at the RCC, makes it to almost every meeting. She knows what we are proposing and shares what is happening in the center, and that's been invaluable for us. The newsletter to keep both families and staff informed. It just gives everyone an idea of what's going on in the center and also beyond, because Maya will also put in information about other events put on by other people. This beautiful space. The building is cheerful. There's lots of space to have children. So when we had 15 children on Sunday, there's enough space for all of them. And also, free parking, it's accessible. There's lots of meeting rooms, so we can do the sib shops and the child minding and the parent to parent all at the same time. And all of it's free, but not quite free. One of the things we discovered that we did not originally budget for was the cost of security. But all in all, that cost is very reasonable for everything we get in this building.
And this is because we heard from families that they prefer events often evenings and weekends. So that's why we hadn't thought of that, but we listened to them, and that's what's been working.
Yeah. The next one is funding, both for the staff time to organize it all, set up the events, snacks, coffee, but maybe most importantly, to hire qualified staff for the children with additional needs. Being able to bring your children is invaluable to families. Almost every event we have put on is in conjunction with recreational opportunities for the children. So everybody comes and everybody has a great time. And it's a two-way street. RCC SCY comes to us with questions, plans, and we come to them with the same. Everyone is so open and supportive and working towards a similar goal.
So that's kind of a summary of what the Family Advisory Council does. Thank you so much for listening to us today. We hope you've been able to answer some of your questions. If you'd like to submit content for the Family Network newsletter, you can contact us by sending an email to familynetwork@sky.ca. Or if you're interested in becoming a member of the Family Advisory Council or just want to bring an idea or question, you can contact me, Tessa, at tplett@rccinc.ca or by phone at 258-6567.
And you can also find out information about the Family Advisory Council, sign up for our newsletter. Lots of event stuff is on there on the two websites, sky.ca, which is SSCY.ca, or RCCinc.ca, which is RCCINC.ca. Liz on our parent council sums it up best, in my opinion. She says, I am so grateful for a group of people who get it. Our children may be faced with different obstacles, but we are all there because we love our children and we want to do our best by them. Any questions for us? Both online or yes.
I know you'll have to repeat it. I know the LIFE program has
Great. So the question was, do we have a brochure that we could just hand to families in a session?
Not yet. It is a work in progress, but yes, we know that is a need, so it is actually being worked on right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do have some posters here today about the parent-to-parent cafe. So if you know of a family member that might be interested, you can pick one of those up. There's also a poster on the website and our newsletter, I think, as well. But that's what we have for now.
Yes.
Thank you. We're grateful for you and your leadership and guidance. And you don't get it right. You give us feedback clinically as well. So we're all very appreciative of the incredible change that's happened over years' time. What do you think the best way to, is it via email? What are parents will do in connecting with them? That's an ongoing issue for us around providing information. I'm hearing we should put it through the letters, but have you learned from parents that you have regular communication or interaction like what's the most easy for them?
So the question was, connecting with parents is always a challenge. So what type of information or what way to send information is most effective? What are parents sort of telling us? We haven't actually done sort of a survey or anything about that. Our work is mostly on email, but I do know, I mean, it really depends is the problem, right? It depends on how full your inbox is and what's happening with your child that day. So it's really tough any which way. And some people are real big Facebook users and sometimes not. It's certainly a question we could put out to our parent-to-parent cafe and get an answer back for you. It's not something that we have yet surveyed, but it is a good point. We are, but I don't know if we can have a whole lot more people, but it's just that thing of, it's not something we've thought about, is are we actually communicating in the way that parents want to be communicated with? It's not a question we've asked. Yeah.
I just wanted to echo Barb's sentiments and congratulate you on all the energy and all the good things that you bring into the building here and really inspire the rest of us to think a little bit more about family integrated care, which I think is what you're talking about, not just family centered. Right. And I think that's a tremendous addition to our work. As physicians, we always struggle about how best to deliver care. Some families prefer care to be cohorted so that you have many appointments on the day, and some families prefer the little end of the day pop-in. And that would be really useful to those of us working on medical teams here and in clinics to know what works for families and what other models of care we could provide. That would be really helpful. Just to keep that energy to present us going.
Yeah, so the question was about whether how best or what different models can be used in healthcare. Is it all appointments on one day? Is it popping in at the beginning and the end of the day? Is it sort of, or is there something that we're not thinking of that parents might be interested in seeing or would be very, would like to see? So Again, don't have an answer for that. Great question, and we've written it down so that we can try and find answers to these, because I mean, I know what I'd prefer, but I'm one. So in this sort of a context, you want to make sure that you're having a really good look at all the different parents we can contact to make sure we're getting the right answers, or as many answers as we can. No, there's not, but as many answers as we can get so that we can be prepared for those people who need a different model. Yeah.
I just want to say, in lieu of a brochure, sometimes after an appointment, letter right there, so families don't have to go home and remember, where do I find this? And it's done. So she's really great.
And that's Melody? Okay, so the suggestion is that just so that they don't leave the building and then forget everything, to have Melody at the front desk send your families to Melody, and they can sign up right there, right then for the Family Network newsletter. Thank you.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, yes, yeah. So I think there's 4 different newsletters. I can't remember what all 4 of them are, but one is Life and one is the Family Network. I think one is FASD. Like, so there's 4 different newsletters depending on what sort of, what interests you or what is sort of what's going on in your life right now. So she would, I'm sure, go through those, yeah. Yeah, we like that idea here in the room.
Some of the presentations available after slides. So
great question. So far, no. Partly because most of what we're doing is connecting families in the parent-to-parent cafe. We have considered that perhaps we will look at that if we're doing strict educational sessions again in the future. But in terms of us, what we're more looking to do is actually export this idea and allow other families to just do it. So even because you don't have to have an educational speaker, you don't have to have. So we're actually doing a sort of a best practices idea, and I've had other parents reach out and talk to me about how you went about with this group, and so I've shared everything with them. This is the first session we did, and then from that you get all your topics, and then you can just stick a note on each table. This is what you're going to talk about at this table, and people decide where to go. So it can be really simple. So we have more in that vein than trying to do a webinar, but we're always open to options.
Yeah, we did talk about that at our last meeting, that we were going to make the larger events available via webinar if we could going forward. And then we were looking at how maybe this idea of what we're doing, this model of what we're doing now, how that could be replicated in other places, rurally or in northern communities. So rather than us like connecting everybody, like rather having people form their own groups and engage people in their own communities. So something we're talking about.
And if anyone has suggestions on how to do that, please let us know. Any questions from online? No, we're good. Okay. All right.
Okay, I think that's.
Yeah, thank you. We should talk about yeah. So we do have an event coming up on October 23rd. Dr. Rosenbaum, those of you who are with CHRD and all the other things are probably going to he's doing a talk here in the morning, I believe. He's going to come back and talk to parents in the evening about the F words in disability. It's going to just be an hour long, and then there'll be an hour long sort of talk, ask questions kind of thing. So please send families if they're interested. He's an amazing man who talks really well and gives parents the tools to really advocate and really think about their whole life with their child. So if you do have families, please do spread the word on that as well.
I believe the date is October 23rd, and there will be more information online in the newsletter
very soon.
Okay,
thank you. Bye. All right. Okay. Thank you, Tessa.
get someone reminded.
Hello.